For years the fortunes of Teodoro Nguema Obiang Mangue mirrored those of his country, Equatorial Guinea, as it rose to become one of sub-Saharan Africa's biggest oil producers. The son of President Teodoro Obiang Mbasogo enjoyed a lavish lifestyle in California and France. His good times abroad contrasted starkly with the lives of most of his fellow citizens, who saw little trickle-down from the oil revenue. Now the funding for his lifestyle has been exposed as embezzlement, as Teodorin faces a criminal conviction in France, sanctions in the UK and a record for corruption in the US. But back home the 52-year-old remains vice president, in pole position to succeed his father, 79. Teodorin spent time in California as far back as 1991 when he enrolled at Pepperdine University in Malibu. He eventually bought a $30 million mansion in Malibu, and his other assets in the US included a Ferrari car and Michael Jackson memorabilia. This came out in 2014 when the US Justice Department forced him to surrender the assets in a settlement after finding he had paid for them in a corruption-fueled spending spree. Through relentless embezzlement and extortion, Vice President Nguema Obiang shamelessly looted his government and shook down businesses in his country to support his lavish lifestyle, while many of his fellow citizens lived in extreme poverty, said Assistant Attorney General Caldwell in a statement. Money from the sale of the assets was meant to be used for the benefit of the people of Equatorial Guinea. In 2016, Swiss prosecutors seized 11 luxury cars belonging to him. The cars, among them a Bugatti, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Bentleys, and Rolls-Royce, were sold at an auction for about $27 million. Some $23 million was to go to social projects in Equatorial Guinea. Then, in 2017, it was France's turn to clamp down on Teodorin when a court convicted him of embezzlement and ordered the seizure of his assets in the country. He was given a 3-year suspended sentence in absentia and a €30 fine, and his luxury assets in France were seized.
One of his seized properties in Paris is worth over $120 million. Under a French law, all this wealth is to be redistributed to the people of Equatorial Guinea. The judgment was upheld by the top appeals court, which rejected his protestations of innocence and his argument that French courts had no right to rule on his assets. With this decision, France is no longer a haven for money embezzled by senior foreign leaders and their entourage, Patrick Lafitte of Transparency International France, which was party to the case, said in a statement. Finally, last week the UK slapped anti-corruption sanctions on Teodorin and 4 other figures from Zimbabwe, Venezuela, and Iraq. The UK said his collection of Michael Jackson memorabilia included a $275,000 crystal-covered glove which the later singer had worn on his 1980s Bad tour. The sanctions will see the UK impose asset freezes and travel bans to prevent named individuals channeling money through UK banks or from entering the country. UK Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab said the new sanctions targeted individuals who had lined their own pockets at the expense of their citizens. Despite his legal troubles abroad, Teodorin keeps his place at the top of Equatorial Guinea's political establishment. His father is Africa's longest-serving leader and has been described by human rights organizations as one of Africa's most brutal dictators. While the president himself is the key figure, his son is relatively well known as a personality in West and Central Africa given the international media coverage he has attracted, says Africa analyst Paul Melly. The action that has been taken by judicial authorities in some European countries against alleged corruption by some African presidential families is a sign of the risk of potential damage to credibility and access to development funds that some regimes might face, he adds. But such cases are very much not typical of today's sub-Saharan Africa.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.